Hey, everybody. Welcome to an IGTV Live over here at Echo Means Business. Give me a minute or two. We're going to get everybody on here and we'll kick this thing off. So thanks for joining us on Echo Means Business, IG Live, for fun conversation we're going to be having this spring. So give everybody a minute or two to hop on here. We've got a couple cool guests that we're going to have joining us. And we're going to have quite the fun chat here. So go ahead, comment below while we're getting this set up. I want to hear where you guys are from and how your Monday was. Hopefully you guys made some money out there today. All right, let's see. Get our people on here. Let you guys do a little commenting below.
Hello. Hi, everybody. Uh-oh, are you going to be able to? Oh. Hang on. Hang on.
Did it work?
I see it, Paul. So cool. We've got the legend Paul Kamara on the call, and we've got the Temkins, and we're going to get the Jar Sisters on here. We're going to get this popping off. Oh, 30 of you guys on here. This is great. This is awesome. This is awesome. Hopefully you guys are all having a good Monday. There we go. And we should have, hopefully, the Jar joining us here momentarily. There we go. Perfect. Awesome. Awesome. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Michael Bedell, the owner of Bedell Property Management, and I'm located in Southeast Michigan, and I'm lucky enough to be serving on the Echo Means Business Usury Advisory Group Council here for 2023. So they got me queued up moderating this fine event, so I'm going to cue it over to the Jar Sisters down here, and they're going to let you know who they are and where they're from.
Hey everyone, I am Jacqueline and I am Abigail. We are twin sisters who own Jar Landscaping LLC here in Central Illinois.
Hey everybody. So I am Jenica and I'm Jana.
I'm Jared.
And we are from Dutchess County, New York. We are J&J Property Pros. Happy to be here. And then Paul, over to you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I'm Paul Kamara. I have a company here in Southern Rhode Island, third generation business. Never did anything else, so I'm looking forward to this conversation. Back to you, Mike.
Perfect. Perfect. Wow. Well, quite the wealth of knowledge that we have on the call here, and people from all over the country. I'm from outside of Detroit, and the Jar Sisters are in Indiana, and then you just head further north and east, and you get to the rest of the people on the call here. So great to get everybody on here. So the theme of today is working with family, and obviously there's a lot that we can get into there. And if you guys can't tell, the Jar Sisters look a lot alike. I think they're twins, so that kind of cues up they're definitely family, right? So I want to hear from them. Just give us your experience, what it's like working with family, what kind of caused you to want to work with family, and just kind of give us a little bit of context here, if you would.
Yeah, so we started our business together. We're best friends. We always spend time with each other all the time. So I don't think there's anyone else I'd want to be a business partner with. So we both share a passion for landscaping and horticulture. So that's kind of how we got into it. And we push each other along the way to actually like make our business what it is. So that is one thing we love about our business.
Yeah, that's awesome. So do the two of you kind of have tasks that overlap then, or do you kind of divide things up to keep the peace? Tell me about that.
Yeah, there's certain things that we do divide the task up in between. She usually does most of the office work kind of thing, and then I try to do much of the maintenance as I can. But we both have our own interest, and it really works out in our business that way.
Yeah, very, very smart. Very, very smart there. Cool. All right. Well, that's some good context. I want to hear from the Temkins now. And you guys, obviously, I don't think any of you guys are twins. You're just lucky enough to be siblings. But tell me, like similar experience, very different experience. I want to hear all about it.
I think similar and different
Yeah.
in some ways. I think agreeing with the gals that we truly are, it's like built-in best friends.
Yes. Exactly.
There's definitely no one that we would trust more.
Yes.
So it's like to build that respect, that trust. We of course have the moments where
we might not agree 100% all the time.
We are thinking about a different thing and we're all getting to that same topic, but we're going about it differently. So sometimes tiffles happen.
Oh yeah.
It's just natural.
The nice part is though, you have 3 different angles to see a vision.
Yes. Yeah. And I think as we can each do each other's job, each of us does something specifically better than the other one can do. So like the girls, we've split things up.
And I think also that perspective though does help drive our business in a different way. Like again, it just certain people, one of us, you know, like I love Jerry, you know, but you may not be as detail oriented as Jenica, you know, or myself. And
I'm just here for the show.
Balance each other. No, but logistics, he's like, no, girls, that's totally not going to work, you know. And we're like, numbers, make it happen. And he's like, no, you know. So it's kind of like keeping that balance and also respecting each other at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Yep.
I know it's true. A lot of times people will say, don't work with friends or family, but we've always, and we hear that statement because sometimes it's just not good.
Yes.
But in our case, we found that even some of the friends that we brought on to work with us, they also carry that same type of respect and trust that we hold so dear.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we don't trust easily. So
having somebody you can trust is super helpful.
Yes. So we've just been blessed in that way to be able to find others that align with our vision and what that is.
Yeah.
But to say that we picked landscaping, I'm not sure if that's true. I think it picked us. It wouldn't have been a first choice. It just kind of happened.
Yeah, I think we started young. I mean, 14, 13, just, it was the jobs out of necessity, cleaning, landscaping. And so from that, we bred the business of our all-encompassing service, which we do now, and how we merged, because Johnny used to do cleaning separately, and organizing and interior decorating,
and then I get all the plant questions and be like, wrong sibling, wrong sister.
Ask the other sibling.
Clients kept saying, hey, do you know a landscaper? Do you know a cleaner?
And we could recommend each other all day.
And so we just said it makes sense to merge this. Why haven't we done this sooner? And we just said, this is what's in front of us. Let's do something with it instead of just throwing it away.
And we all drive each other.
Yeah.
So that's a good,
So
a good way.
Trust and respect is key for sure.
Yes. If you don't have that, it's going to be tough to make things work.
Yes.
It's going to be tough. But yeah, again, we each are able to take something separately. And I think that's what makes it work so well. It's not like it's one-sided where we're all great at admin and that's all we can do, or we can only do logistics, or it's just, it works well because of the diversity.
I'm still trying to figure out what I'm good at, but someday I'll find out.
We like to do it all.
I can relate to that on some days. Some days it's like you need the reset button on the Super Nintendo of life.
True that.
Yeah.
All right, I want to hear from Paul.
Yes.
You know, you're the only one out here besides me that doesn't have a family member on the screen with them. So we get to say whatever we want about our family, and there's no one to like punch us live here. So I want to hear from you. You know, we've heard a lot of positivity about working with family, but lay it on us. I'm sure maybe you got a little bit of both here.
Well, I don't want to. I mean, I already saw a family member of mine go through the list here, so I can't go too bad here. But we did. We worked together as a family. We were in a family business for many years, up until 2000, when my father sold me my side of the business. But it's tough, and as it scales, it becomes a little bit difficult as it gets bigger, as you start getting employees and you start getting divisions. There has, in my opinion, if you're going to be in a family business, which is pretty much a partnership, and a partnership is the worst business to be in, and then you add in the love factor in your family, your brother, your sister, whoever the case may be, it really causes problem, and it was causing kind of a problem for us. So my father's passed, but I gained my father back. I gained my brother back. Where I'm not saying this happens for you guys, you know, on the thing, but sometimes business takes precedence over family, and you don't want to be taking this home to the Thanksgiving dinner or the Christmas dinner or things like that. You want to keep business at where it is, but it doesn't always work that way. Doesn't always work that way. But you know, as for me, moving on and getting my family back as a family was important. But as just for advice, seeing what I went through to give to anybody else, take on what you're good at and let your siblings trust you with that. And don't get in their way. Because once that trust is broken, that's where problems start to occur. So if you have somebody, see, I know family member businesses that older, third, fourth generation, and these guys are in their 60s, 70s, women too. And one guy is in the field, he's loading trees for the nursery, and one of the other brothers is inside, you know, working on prices and working on admin. You know, when I was growing up, the guy working on admin the money was coming out of overhead, and the other guy was coming out of production. The guy that's in production is going to be upset because he's the one that's making money for the guy in the admin. So that really needs to be hashed out right in the beginning, and there has to be value put on in the office work. That was one of the hiccups we saw back in the old days, because I wanted to build the office side, but my father didn't, you know, being the old first generation Portuguese guy, and I'm not giving him any crap about it. This is just the way he was. He didn't see value in that. You know, that was to an old guy like him, girl's job. You know what I mean? I know it's not. Trust me, I'm not that way. But that old school way was, you know, that's not work. What are you doing inside there? And why do you get to make as much money as we do? So in family business, you really have to get way out in front, what you're good at, and you know, run with it and have the people around you trust you with it. I think that's the most important, is trust, and leaving it in the office, leaving it on the job site, and every once in a while just go out for a drink together or go out for dinner or something, and, you know, fix it that way too.
A lot of very, very good advice there, because yeah, it is not all the good experiences that the Temkins and the Jar sisters seem to be having, which is great. Yeah, my equipment supplier is a second and third generation family business, and they seem to have it figured out. I've been around like a lot of the family members at once, and they seem to do a great job of loving on each other and staying in their lane. And they seem to have the secret sauce, because you know, I've also worked with a lot of other family businesses, and like that would be a facade at best. And I've sat at their dinner table, you know, been lucky enough to do that. And I only sat at that dinner table once, because it's not a very fun dinner. Those people are all about to kill each other, and I just want to eat my chicken, right? So it is a tough thing that, you know, you can have a lot of reward on, but it is not always easy. So kind of queuing that up, is there any like experiences, either the Temkins or the Jars, I'll throw this to you guys, where you've had to work through some adversity? And obviously you're all sitting there smiling now, so kind of tell us like how it went from good to bad, and then resolve
ugly. No, and then good again. Yeah.
Do the Jar sisters want to go first?
Yes, whoever. Yeah.
Yeah, so at the beginning of our business, we learned really quick what each other are good at, what each other aren't so good at, and it kind of just like fell in its place. We learned like she's better at doing certain things, I'm better at these things. And like at the beginning, we kind of had some disagreements with stuff, but we kind of like learned that out, learned each other, what her focus wants to be on, what my focus wants to be on, that type of thing. So it's just something you kind of have to learn at the beginning. Yeah, it's really important to us that we're able to sit down and discuss with each other our interests and what we each want to do. That's how we separated all of our tasks. But yeah, we've worked through everything. Like, we're going to have some disagreements here and there, but we always work through it.
That's a really good point I want to touch on real quick before we move on to the Temkins, is that setting goals and expectations up front is really important, but then also realizing that life is pretty fluid and that those goals might change, life might change, and that that negotiation, while it's very important on the front end, is not always so one and done, because you know, things will change. And it could change the business dynamic and the family dynamic. So I want to hear from the Temkins now. Tell me about your conflict resolution skills as a family.
It's amazing how a business will kind of let you know where you need to be. Yes. Because when you're trying to do something that's not your forte and someone's better at something else, you'd be like, wow, they're so good at this. I'm starting to hurt that situation. Let me go back into my lane so that we can keep cruising.
We had a recent store that, it's true, as we're growing, expanding, getting all the modes and systems in place, Jana was like, hey, I can try to help take some load off of you. Let me try to do some of the scheduling or whatever. And so I said, you know what? Okay, Jana, let's try to work on that a little bit. And so, you're right, she was trying to do what she could do, but I was realizing more and more, as Jana, I was like, disjointed. You're starting to hurt and not help. And so I was like, if you could please, I was like, go back. And like, stop helping me. It's hurting.
I didn't even attempt to help. My butt was outside. I know better. I'm like, Jenny, I would try to help you, but I know my place and it's not there.
And we all do. It's like sometimes, I'm also out in the field, and we all do that. And we all do that.
We all wear the different hats, but we know who's good at what.
And it was just like everyone was saying before, getting your priorities straight and getting everyone in their position of, hey, this is what you're doing. This is what you're good at. Focus on it. Take it, run with it. Because I think that's been the big thing for us too. We all realize at the end of the day, this is our end goal. Not one person is doing more than the other. What is it? The donkey always feels its job its load is the heaviest. You know, and so it's kind of coming down to that, where we all realize.
I know mine's not, and I'm more than happy to have a light load. I'm cool with it.
Doesn't give himself enough credit. But it's true. It's like, I think at the end of the day, even like the girls were saying it, and as Paul was saying, that everyone just knows where they need to be. And when we overstep the bounds, we all realize it just doesn't go well.
We are a little strange as far as the family goes, I guess, because we were homeschooled. So for us, fun is like talking business. Our friends are like, guys, can you take a second? You're always thinking about a different idea. And they're like, you can breathe for a second. We're like, but this is fun. It's not even work. Not that we like landscape in particular, we just enjoy business in general, and the other businesses, we just like it. It's just fun.
And then also, again, I think for us, seeing landscaping and the need and just that business, and then how you can help people.
Trying to create a good service to help people.
Yeah, and it was just kind of like something that we just were like, all right, cool, let's make this happen.
But yeah, it kind of lets you know where your giftings are and where they are, and just kind of naturally flows that way. And you just got to be willing to ride it out and surf it and be like, you know, this ain't my lane. Let me get back over there.
I think it's definitely a bit of a lesson in humility.
Yes.
About being like, oh, wait, no, I'm actually really not good at that. Everybody thinks I'm good at that, but it's really, that's not my gifting. And, you know, it's true. Like, I'm over there trying to help Jenica, and I'm genuinely her, like, oh, wait. Oh, Jenica's like, no, I scheduled that already. I'm like, oh, oops, I rescheduled. Oh, never mind. You know, so it was kind of like, I'll contact
chaos is not our friend.
No, and Jenica's like, just stop. Don't touch the phone. Yeah.
You live and you learn.
Yes.
I think that's great. You live and you learn. And so on that note, I got a question for Paul here. I'm just noticing that, like, the other people on this call are siblings. And so I'm wondering if in your opinion, because it sounds like you've worked with siblings and then elder family members as well, do you think that maybe that was part of the rift that in your dynamic there was like this hierarchy that just comes from there being elders in a family? Do you think that was like part of what caused the issue when you worked with family? And do you think it would have been different if it was just like the siblings, kind of like you have like with the Temkins? Or what are your thoughts on that? I think you're on mute.
Because I'm coughing, I'm trying to keep it quiet over here. Because my brother and I, we get along as brothers. We're polar opposites. He's got 5 kids. I don't have any. So our lives are completely different. The way he goes about about doing work is completely different than how I did. I was more like my dad, and that's why we butted heads a lot too, because we were too much the same. But I had my grandfather too, early on too. So he was. It's funny, and on the back of that, I would also kind of stress and try to think about. I don't know where everybody's life is, but people that are watching this might be. If you're going to be bringing in a second generation or a third generation, you got to have a plan for that, because they're going to want to be part of the business probably. And if they do, you don't force them into it, obviously, but a good place for people to get discipline and get good life skills is at landscaping and working and doing things every day. So having a plan in place for that, so that they feel like they belong and that they can make money, and that you're growing the business to take care of them as well, because you can't be a small company and have second, third generation. That was one of the problems that we got into. My father wanted to be like I am, stay small. But when you have two sons that have wives and kids and lives and homes, you can't. I wouldn't be able to. I would have to grow myself if I had kids to to support, and their families too. So have a plan in place, because kids come, they like being a part of the business, and be open-minded that they might take over and make you sit in the back a little bit every once in a while, and you should be able to do that and enjoy it. So
that is a good point. It's because it's this fine act where someone's going to go from like being the ringleader and the big boss to, over a period of time, like stepping back and to the point where they care about it, they love it, it's their family biz, but they maybe want to spend some time on a beach or a boat at that point because they've done it a long time, and then in turn there has to not be the resentment from the younger generation why maybe they aren't getting a cut of all of this still, even though they haven't been to a job site in months. They've been on the boat.
I mean,
so
I could speak for myself. If today I had to bring on kids that were in their 20s or something, it would be so hard for me to give up the reins. For me, just myself, it would be difficult to say, okay, I'm going to go to the pasture and relax. So I can definitely now at my age see what my father was going through back then, because we were so much alike. So you learn every year. Every year your life goes by, you start to see things from different perspectives. But a good plan, or a succession planning is actually the wording for it, especially in family businesses, because you have 3 family members, there are 2 over here. I mean, you could easily have 4 or 5 young kids coming into this wanting to get into that business, and what do you do? But if you have a plan in place, it works. It works better.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking back to that supplier that I use, I think they've done a couple things right. Just talking out loud here, they've grown the business, which has created a lot of opportunity. But then through the fact that they've been successful, individual family members have owned companies that are somewhat related in some cases and somewhat not. But that's created a lot of opportunity. And so rather than them, say, fighting for a spot at the supply business, one of the family members owns a golf course and banquet facility. And so, his kids, I think, are a little more interested in growing that venture than they are getting, the spot as vice president of the equipment supply company. So I think that's a really good point, is that succession planning, whatever that means, whether it's in the business or not in the business, or growing it or shrinking it, is wonderful insight. That do you think that would have really helped, or do you think because now you kind of see, just to circle back to Paul real quick, now that you're seeing it through your father's eyes a little bit, do you think that it still would have been kind of the same circle and dance, just because it's hard to let go?
Listen, my brother and I talk about this a lot. I see him. I talk to him almost every day. He is actually my brother. He's my friend, which is great. He's a stonemason. We work on all the jobs together. So we're always working together, but I don't have my thoughts in his business, and he doesn't have in mine. So what I was gonna say, if my dad, my brother, and I could have saw eye to eye back then, we could have had an amazing sized business right now. We had everything in line. We had stonemasonry, irrigation, we had landscaping, we had everything that we could have had. But personalities kind of come in the way. And I look back and say, you know what? I would rather it have gone the way it did because I got my dad back. I mean, me and him, he would go with me to go get plants. We would go for an hour and a half drive just to get plants for my business, and he'd come for a ride with me and enjoy that. I go with my brother out all the time. We talk. I like it better this way. Not to say that's for everybody, but it could have been a big business. And I don't know if we would have been able to do what you guys are doing, where you're best friends, where you guys when I look at Jacqueline and Abigail and the three of you, you guys are so happy and smiley and look like you actually enjoy this. And that wasn't the case for us back then. It just wasn't. So you guys have to really, dig in and make sure you're planned right. I saw a question just now drive by, and I saw it was a great question. I don't know if I have the answer for it, but JC asked it, and I just want to answer that one. What if one of the family members isn't pulling their own weight? There was something to that effect. That's a difficult conversation to have, because sometimes if you don't have the kind of work that that person likes to do, they might not want to go to do that work, So everything is communication, because those days are going to come up. And what you guys are going to do that day is leaf cleaning, and that one sibling doesn't like doing leaf cleaning, and there's nothing else to do, and he digs his heel or she digs her heels in, it's going to cause problems. So having those communication, having those conversations is very important, because you don't want to get to a point where you have to fire a partner or a family member or buy them out. That's a dangerous place to be.
Yes.
I agree. As someone who's been there at some point in my life myself, I concur wholeheartedly with everything you just said there, Paul. So any rebuttal or comments there from the siblings on this call?
It's funny. Loving everything that Paul was saying. Some wisdom words, that's for sure. I think communication definitely a big thing for us, but our dad as well. We had our parents, because a lot of people go, "Oh, did your parents start this and then you started this?" And we actually said, no, they worked in the city. They had they were artists. They were, they did,
city boy married a country girl, our mother.
Yeah, they were not. Yeah, and they decided to raise us up here. And then again, it was what was afforded to us at the time. And then we just said, you know what? Let's build this. Let's do something with it. And so our parents and our dad, now that he's retired too, is whatever I can do to help. But it's true. It throws the dynamic off. And because he is that fatherly figure.
And he cares
so
much.
And I think everyone wants to control something.
Such a thing as overcaring.
Yes. And if there's something to fault our dad, it's about overcaring, because Dad, because he's trying, I'll be the moker, I'll be on this, I'll do that.
And he wants to help.
And sometimes he has also stepped out of his lane. And we've had to, in a sense, say, Dad, it's like you're throwing the dynamic off.
And the crew loves him because he's over there with the credit card. Let's go get some, guys. And they're like, no, dude, don't do this. And they love him. He's a lot of fun.
And we're like,
but
Dad, there's X amount for budget.
He's in it for the party. And there's nothing wrong with that.
And so everyone loves Dad.
Yep.
But everyone loves Raymond. Yeah. We're like, Dad, everyone
loves There's a business to run.
Right. But so we understand that dynamic where, again, the fatherly figure of he always has to put his 2 cents in. And, well, what if you did this? Which we're already having that conversation. And I think he's starting to get it, where he's like, he goes, you know what? I'm going to step out of the room. I know you all know what you're doing. I know you're having a conversation. I won't butt in.
We were installing.
But there have been the times where he did.
We were installing a driveway around a brand new driveway under layman's, and we had to go by a pond. It was kind of a complicated driveway. So we were doing it. And so he comes out and starts, I guess he YouTubed some ideas and stuff and started giving it. And I'm like, Dad, have you ever done a driveway in your life? And he was like, well, no. And I'm like, why are you here with the crew and myself trying to tell us some regulation that you found? I was like, I already did the paperwork for this. We're good to go, dude. We're okay. And he was like, but I watched this YouTube video, and I'm like, I'm glad you did, but it's not helpful right now.
but again, like you said, it comes back to the fatherly figure and that control,
wanting to help.
The control of, well, I'm your dad. I need to be there for you. Whether that's getting back to helping or hurting. And it's just like, hey, it's okay.
And the key is to communicate it out.
Yeah.
Don't let it blow up into something like you were saying, well, you got to be able to communicate and be like, hey, this is how I'm feeling. This is the situation. Because this is why this.
Yeah. Without the communication, we would
definitely
fall apart. Have blow-ups. Oh, yeah. I think it's like a daily check-in type of a thing sometimes. If we can, it's like, okay, how are we feeling? What's happening? What's going on?
And the goal is to grow the business beyond ourselves so that, the name is there, but we don't really want to be in the field. We have, thank God, an amazing team, and hopefully we're trying to build management so that the crew can take a leadership position, and we're just getting in their way. And then we have to learn to step back, and we're hoping to build it to the point where I was like, oh, we better stay out of the crew's way. That's the goal someday, is to stay out of the crew's way someday.
Growing as you go, and hopefully having other people see your vision as well and being able to cultivate that.
So you're kind of like learning the lessons ahead of time by watching your dad do it. You know,
and actually,
if
hearing
you do it
from you guys,
you do it.
It's
no,
there's so much wisdom.
It's just being, again, kind of humble to be able to say, like, oh wow, there's so much more that we don't know.
You're a smart person if you learn from your mistakes, but you're a wise person if you learn from the mistakes of others.
We're trying to learn from the mistakes of others.
So that's the goal. That's the goal. Yes.
I like that. Well, we got a quick question here from a friend of the show, Melanie, who wants to know, this one's for the twins. Being identical, did you both decide at the same time you wanted to pursue landscaping, or did one of you coerce the other? Tell me more.
Yeah, so basically in high school, I don't know really what Abby wanted to do, but I kind of fell into like the love of plants and horticulture. I knew that's something I wanted to go into, but it kind of just happened. I don't know how, but we didn't really plan on having a business. So we just wanted like a summer job in high school, but no one ever like called us back from our applications, landscape companies and stuff like that. And we wanted to figure out if this was something that we wanted to do before we went off to like college to get a degree in horticulture, if that's something that we wanted. So we just figured we'd make a business together. And I think with that, we kind of built it into something that we both enjoy. And it just became how it is. And I don't think we would have wanted it any other way.
Nice. Well, that's good. I was always kind of curious about that myself, whether there was like one that was really into it and kind of it helped grow the passion. Because I know like my younger brother, like I was really into playing hockey growing up, and it kind of came out as we grew up that like he played hockey too, but it was because I played hockey and it seemed like the fun thing. But he actually like didn't really like hockey that much, and sure enough, as soon as I stopped playing hockey, he didn't really play hockey anymore, right? So I was kind of curious if especially in the sibling realm, if it's like, oh, come on, all the cool kids are landscaping, you better landscape too, or not so much. So that's really cool insight. All right, I got one final question for each of you individually. Well, the groups can kind of answer it amongst themselves, but I know we spent a lot of time talking about family, but it's the spring rush. We're all starting like a new growing season here and have the opportunity to get out there and make lots and lots of money. And so we'll start with the Temkins here. What's one tip that you can give to the 20, 30 some people we've got live with us right now that's just something they can implement in their business over the next couple months to really achieve their goals this year? Any ideas?
Great question. I'd say have a strategy.
Yeah. Have a game plan.
Have your plan in place, because without a plan, without a strategy, you will be all over the place.
And have contingency plans, because things will go sideways. They just do.
And it's true, because as much as you can plan or have a strategy,
plan
you
A,
have
B,
to be
C,
ready
D.
to pivot. Yes. So have a plan, be ready to pivot, but you'll be much happier having a course. And definitely if you have team, filling in the team, getting platforms in place to help you schedule properly, estimate properly, invoice properly, so that you're always on track with that.
even if you're a sole operator, to just make sure you have your systems in place so that you don't feel like you're struggling to just, you have your straw just above the water and you're barely breathing. You just, again, want to make sure you have your strategy and plan. I don't. Yeah. Sibs, what would you say?
Game plan, baby.
Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yes. Yeah.
True.
So just to put it simply.
Plan plus patience equals profit.
Yeah, that's right.
You know what I mean?
Well said, sir. Well said.
Perfect. All right. And then the Jar Sisters, what about you? What's something that everyone could do this year to get out there and make that money?
I'd say just figure out what your end goal is. That's what we've been trying to do this year. We just hit our 5-year mark, so then we are creating another 5-year list. So we're just figuring out everything we want to do, short term, long term, everything like that. Always have a goal and write it down on paper. We've noticed that when we write things down on paper, it always ends up happening. So yeah, write it down and then like prioritize those goals, and then focus on it and make sure you keep up with it even if there are downfalls. Don't give up, just keep going with it, and eventually you'll get to where you want to go.
I love that. Those were amazing tips. I agree. If you want to go somewhere, you got to write it down. You got to be flexible, and those are major keys to success. Someone told me once that the CEO of like pretty much every top 50 company in America doesn't do much scheduling. Their people do that. They operate by to-do lists. And so if you want a glimpse into that successful mindset, that's what the Jar Sisters are doing, and shocker, that's why they're very successful. So, Paul, what else can we do? I saved you for last because I know this is going to be a good one. What's the tip that we can implement this year to make some money?
They covered up most of the basic ones, but one for me is make sure you are targeting your best customers, the customers that you deal with the most, the ones you like going to, the work you like doing. Target that kind of work and be seen on those properties all the time doing that kind of work. And then that's, people start to, picture you in their minds when they see that work. You know what I mean? Organization, everything to me is organization. I know it sounds simple, but just having all the equipment, tools, knowing where you're going, everything fixed, everything repaired, that to me is the most underlooked thing in our industry. People show up to the job with, they forget their broom, they forget their rake. That's where a lot of the money is lost, is in dumb mistakes. And you guys said a little alliteration there a second ago, but sounds like it's proper planning prevents poor performance. And that is, to me, that's why I'm in the garage all winter. That's why I like to do, keep up on the equipment and repairs. And in the morning, if I don't spend a half an hour every morning trying to make sure everything is in its place and know what we're going to be doing that day and where we're going and how it's going to work out, I don't do anything if I don't do that. So, I would say organization, proper planning, like you said, the lists, everything you guys said was dead on, but just to add to that, organization. Absolutely.
Perfect. No, that ties that all together very nicely. And I'll just add the little cherry on top that, it's great to hear that Paul slows down. He doesn't run out there all crazy willy-nilly trying to get work done. He's methodical. He slows down and then he works his plan. And I do the same thing. I've put out there on podcasts before that sometimes on Mondays I'll spend up to a half day in my office in the morning because I'm like the Abraham Lincoln mindset. If you got 6 hours to chop down a cherry tree, spend 4.5 hours sharpening the axe. And that's what I've learned from my experiences. I let everybody else run out on a Monday morning and wait in line and wait in traffic, and I sit here and I fine tune my plan and I make sure everything's ready to go. And then when I show up, there's no line for everything because everyone's already gone, and I just go about my day. So I encourage everybody to maybe consider that this year, especially as we're starting out, we're maybe not fully in the grind yet. Slow down to speed up and make 2023 your most successful year. And something else you can certainly do is join us on our next IGTV Live, which will be sometime over the next month. I don't know that we have it scheduled, but obviously you're following us here on Echo Means Business on Instagram or any of our other social handles. You'll get all the information for that. So thank you so much to everyone who joined us tonight. Thank you to the Temkins, the Jar Sisters, and the legend himself, Paul, for toughing out a little cold, joining us tonight. We really do appreciate you. And we appreciate everybody at home. Be safe, be good to each other. Thanks for following us, and we will see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everybody.